Hello, everyone, and welcome to Talk of the Town. You know who I am, I think. I'm Karen Buechs, the producer and the host of the show. The show has been running, I swear, for over 20 years, maybe 25. Long time. And I'm thinking of bringing a show back for one night. I won't be here. The Three Amigos. And there were always great guys on there. It was more than three, but my husband started that, and it was a great show. Tonight, I have my friend back, who I adore, Wrestling Brewster.
Hi, Karen. How are you?
How are you?
I'm good.
You are one busy guy. But town meeting, how'd it go?
I think my main point was to bring up the budget more than it's ever been brought up before and make people talk about it.
You did a good job.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, I was given a lot of grief for the last moment and how dare you try to cut the school budget and all of that. In talking with most of the department heads, they have to be budget-minded, and they were all, like, ready for that 1%.
They were on board.
Yeah.
And it wasn't going to harm them terribly, so they were good with it.
Right, and it's, you know, I kept saying to everybody, I said, if you ask if we did a 1%, what would it cost you? And, of course, 12 teachers, 7 policemen, 5 firemen. If you say we are doing 1%, then they have to delve into their budget a little more. And, okay, we don't have to take 12 policemen, but we can take something from here and we can budget. You know, and I think that something that the town really needs, I'm encouraged that the select board is asking for monthly updates for the budget, because we need to start budgeting. And one of the things I said on town meeting floor is you continually go to the credit card. Instead of saying, this is our budget, how can we make it work? We say, we're just going to go to the taxpayer as our credit card and put it on credit. Because it's like, well, this is what we need. And until you really budget, then you're going to continually raise taxes, and it's hard. And you know, I think municipalities across the Massachusetts are having that issue, but I think it's something that we really need to start looking at stuff like consolidation. You know, what can we consolidate? You know, we've got 2 entities with 2 HR departments. We got 2 IT departments.
But that necessitates negotiation.
Yep.
And that's going to be up to the unions to come to a decision, a compromise, whatever it is. And from what I understand, they don't want to do that.
Right, and because they look at consolidation as losing people.
Which
losing
I don't
people.
want to see the wrestling.
Oh, nobody does. Nobody does.
I don't want to see it.
And if you look at it, though, for example, we've got 2 HR departments giving out the same benefits. You could consolidate the HR departments so that one of those head of HRs is now the assistant HR. You could look at something that the schools are really good at is building maintenance. They maintain their buildings really, really well. The town of Plymouth is not very good at that. So if you were to take the person who manages all that and put them in charge of all town buildings, then you don't have to fire people. There's ways of doing it without firing people. But it's time we started looking outside the box and doing harsh realities.
Do you know the schools are now combining classrooms? They are, if there were 2 fourth grades,
Yep.
they're making it 1.
Yeah.
enrollment is down,
Yep.
and so they're making one classroom. Now, they'll make accommodations for that.
Yep.
They'll teach a little bit differently, but it'll be good. It'll be great. They're looking at other ways also to consult. You know what takes the biggest crunch is transportation.
Transportation. Yep.
It's awful.
Yep. Yep. And it's I know that Dr. Campbell talks about how they're trying to work with other municipalities in when they're transporting students from different places. We're going to Boston, we're going through Duxbury. Why don't we work with Duxbury? Why don't we consolidate those things? And I know the vans that do that transportation are the only game in town, so they can charge whatever they want.
It's astronomical.
It is, and it is stuff that we need to look at. I know that we started looking at whether it would behoove us to have our own buses instead of.
They looked at that, but it would take so many years to recoup.
It would.
That big hit.
It would. Yeah.
But they've got to do something in regards to that. I mean, the town is so spread out. It's not like when I was a kid, I walked to school.
Yeah.
Yep. It was 2 miles away, but we walked there.
Right.
But now kids are driven because we're so spread out.
Right. Right. And it's the school department. I think that their budget, if you look at the entire budget, which is interesting because COPC asked the question when they came to COPC with their budget, it was like $45 million. And one of us asked, well, that's not 71% of the budget, which you're supposed to have, because that doesn't include buildings and infrastructure and benefits and all of that, because that comes out of the town's budget. But if you combine it all, and it's interesting if we look at all that, because it's we really need to look at entire budgets. We need to look at where things are going and where things are coming from. And until we say, okay, hey, we're at a point, we've got to start making some hard decisions. I think that my 1% proposal was a start because it made people say, okay, if I had to do 1%, what would it be? And one of the department heads said to me, Wrestling, I'd rather do 1% this year than 5 to 10% next year.
Oh, definitely.
Because it's budgeting 101 is I think that we're going to be forced
I hope
to
not.
take people.
I hope not, because
if we don't do something else.
This town is so big, Wrestling. I mean, we're even short on, I think, DPW, police, and fire.
Right.
We're short.
Yep.
What's it going to take? I mean,
I think that we just need to, top to bottom, do some seriously looking at where we are.
Well, who's going to do that?
I am impressed that the
Select
board has said that they want monthly updates. I talked to Deb a couple times, and she wants to see 3 budgets: one level funded, one like a 1% cut, and one what we need. But I think that it's the town meeting are the people who look at the budget. They have the final say-so. They're the budget people.
They're the money people.
They're the money people. They're the legislator of our branches of government. They see the budget 2 to 3 weeks before town meeting.
Oh, I always said it should be more.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of incapable people in town meeting. They don't understand.
That's a nice way of saying it.
They don't understand the budget.
Right.
Took me 5 years, and I still had trouble.
Oh, it was extremely eye-opening to go through this exercise of the 1%. I spoke to the moderator. I spoke to the town manager. I had numerous conversations with Lynn Barrett. Lynn Barrett helped me out immensely in going through and saying, okay, this is where you should cut. This is where you've already cut. But I think that it's tough when you have the people, and FinCom, the chair of FinCom took me aside and said, Wrestling, we start the budget in August. You should come to that meeting.
Yeah, but they still wanted to spend money that
Right.
the town manager never asked for.
No.
They added to the budget,
Yep.
knowing that it was suicide.
Right.
They
Right.
didn't care. And I called them out on Facebook.
Yep.
It doesn't compute.
And it's that's the tough part of the way everything works, is FinCom goes through the budget, and FinCom is an appointed position, not elected,
And they're advisory.
But they run town meeting. Every warrant
Goes through them.
Article, sorry. And there's a fair amount of town meeting, like you say, that says, oh, okay, FinCom was 13-0-0 on this. We should vote for it because we got to trust them.
And what about the people in this town that chased away the nuclear power plant and all those tax dollars? How about data centers, which the governor wants, and to fire up nuclear again, because monies have to come into this town. But yet they stop everything. They're allowed to stop everything.
Yeah.
I wouldn't care if they chained themselves for a tree. Let them rot there. I don't care.
And it's NIMBY. NIMBY causes a lot of problems in this town. If you look at everybody's concerned with the amount of development that we have in Plymouth. They're always like, well, you got to stop this development. Well, all a developer has to do is say, I'm going to go low-income housing.
That's right.
And then they can put up as many as they want. You look at the Oasis off of behind Home Depot.
You know the story behind that.
Oh, yeah. It was supposed to be a high-end. Herb Chambers wanted a high-end car dealership. And the people on Black Cat Road said, well, we don't want them changing oil over our aquifer.
But what is it, 1,000 home?
And the guy originally wanted to do a bunch of condos and have less. And everybody said, oh, we can't have that. So when it comes to NIMBY, not in my backyard, you really have to understand, if not this, then you're going to get something else. You look at North Plymouth.
They're built out.
Yeah. But the Benny's Plaza
the
thing.
The Benny's Plaza.
Yeah.
Something's got to go there.
Right.
You know. It might improve the area. I don't know. I leave that stuff up to the planning board.
Yeah.
And Bulletin and Tim Grandy and all of them.
That's a very important group right now because it is, I think that economic development is going to help us, not tomorrow. That's way down the line. We can't help ourselves out of this with economic development.
Well, something's got to give. The town manager knows it.
Yeah.
He knows it. He's very frustrated because he's being micromanaged from the select board. Yep. Certain members are micromanaging, and they interfere. And I'm not saying Deb does that. I'm saying some others on the board, and it's maddening, absolutely mad. Now, I understand, excuse me, the guy that put forward the ICE article, Article 37, which the police chief had all settled.
Yeah.
He had taken care of that.
He was pretty frustrated about
but
that.
they interfered. Canty and Art Delosius pushed it. Now he's running for chair of Precinct 15. That's going to be the death knell for the Pine Hills, because already people are upset at the Pine Hills at Art Delosius and the way they think there, and everything was fine with the Pine Hills. we love the Pine Hills. But since they've reared their ugly head, now we're faced with this bullshit. And people better wake up. I'm sick of saying it. They're going to come. You know, Art Deloge, wasn't he on the Redevelopment Authority?
Oh, yeah.
He quit because he couldn't get his way.
Yeah.
He wanted more housing. And, you know, now he's going to be chair of Precinct 15 because he's got the votes. Watch what happens to the Pine Hills. People will end up hating them.
And it's an interesting thing because you remember way back when the Pine Hills was all one, all together before they split them.
Split it up.
Right.
Yeah. And you corrected me on, thank you for Facebook, because it goes into Jordan Road.
Yep. It now is moved. But back then, Joyce ran for select board and she won the Pine Hills and nothing else, and she got it. They used to decide elections. And I think that, you know, they did the redistricting. Now it goes all the way to Jordan Road, and I think it stops at Beaver Dam. But it is a larger section that's not just the Pine Hills. And the Pine Hills is an entity that does drive, you know, economics, and a lot of people have moved there from out of town and are trying to...
Been here 5 minutes and they think they know everything.
Yeah.
Live in $1 million homes.
Yeah.
I have no jealousy toward anybody. They made their money, that's right, but they are interfering in such a way that it's nauseating, and they're hurting this town. For their ultra-liberal, I won't even say liberal, because I can be liberal too, leftist views.
Yeah, well, it is, and it's you know, there's ebbs and flows when it comes to politics, and you know, local politics shouldn't be national politics.
Right.
And you run the risk when you start bringing national politics into local politics, for lack of a better term, because Plymouth has a lot going on right now, a lot we need to look at. And when you're distracted by national politics and you start driving things towards that agenda, you kind of lose focus on all the local stuff that needs to be looked at. And it's, you know, it's interesting if you look at how things are going right now. And the last election, you know, Precinct 15 had 1,300 people vote in the last election, which was one of the highest precincts in Plymouth. We had 12% turnout. And if you...
I think it was 14.
No, you're right. I'm sorry, 14.
Yeah.
But 14%, if you talk about democracy and you talk about the democratic process, you're saying that 14% of Plymouth is deciding how things go.
They come out for the presidential.
Yeah.
They will vote
Yep.
for senator and all of that, and the president, and they come out for that. But how would you like, and you know what I'm going to say, the local imaginary fish wrapper called the non-independent interfered in the last election, something that the Old Colony Memorial would never have done. They had more integrity.
Yeah.
They interfered and ran a bogus article, never even calling the person, the hit person they hit, for her words on what happened.
Yeah.
And that was awful. That hurt her terribly. I keep telling her to sue the paper.
Yeah, well, it is when they first started, I said, hey, great, here's, you know, a new news source. You know, it's got to be online because print is dead.
They're toxic.
But it's when, and you look nationally at news sources, it used to be, Walter Cronkite would say, this is the way it was today, you It was a day like all days, except you were there, period. Not this is what we think about this.
What if this happens?
And
I
this
heard
is this is our one side.
And
the non-independent is I've watched it on multiple fronts where I know people personally that were involved in something that they reported on, and the person left a meeting after reading the article and said, "Hey, it's me. I'm the guy that you're talking about. You haven't even talked to me."
Right, they don't do that.
And it's, as investigative reporters, they should be looking at both sides.
They're not investigative reporters.
They aren't.
They carry the water for Canty. And to this moment, they are livid. And he won.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but they can't let it go because it's toxic. It's in their blood.
Yep.
It's in their DNA. They're awful, awful people, all of them.
And you look at the perfect storm of, for example, you've got Precinct 15, which are people who, for the most part, moved here from other towns and want their voice heard. And then you have a news entity that is kind of one-sided.
Not kind of, they are.
And then you have people running for office who are on that side. So, and also you have half the town, more than half the town, that either doesn't pay attention or listens to whatever
somebody
they see.
tells them.
Somebody tells them. So you have the perfect storm of you can create a message, you can create a movement, and you can win elections because you have the press, because you have a lethargic community that doesn't really delve into the issues. It's you and I have been involved in town politics for some time.
Yeah,
we pay attention to things. We talk to people. We call the town manager and ask questions. We're involved in different committees that ask questions. So it's interesting that, when I go to my caucus meetings, I try to bring everything from committee precinct chairs and everything. By the way, I spoke to the town manager about this 1% budget. My caucus actually supported me and asked me to bring that 1% to town meeting. But it's, all these people who weren't paying attention were like, "Oh, Russell, you're doing it at the last moment. How can you possibly cut the school budget?"
I don't think it was the last moment. Would you have a couple of months or a month?
The article came out 2 weeks before town meeting.
Well,
but I'd been talking about it.
Town meeting knew about it.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean,
yeah.
That's all that needed to know about it, really. I mean,
right. But you talk about that perfect storm, though.
Yeah.
You have a fair amount of town meeting who is paying attention twice a year, not paying attention to everything, because what I tried to get the groundswell before town meeting was, I said to every person I spoke to, you should talk to your town meeting representative. Do you know who your town meeting representative is? Ask them about the 1% cut that came before the select board. And I had, multiple people come up and say, yeah, I talked to my town meeting reps. They said, oh, yeah. And I'm like, wouldn't you as a taxpayer say, excuse me, I want to know about this 1%, because my tax rate went up X amount.
Oh, wait.
And I can't stand it anymore. Everybody likes to do the Monday morning quarterback saying, well, my taxes are going up. Okay, did you go to your town meeting representative and say, why my taxes going up?
It's heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking, but it's time. That's why we have to change the government. It's so bad at this juncture, and it's going to get worse these next couple of years.
Yeah.
You need a full-time government. Full-time.
Yep.
And they can concentrate on budgets and the like.
Yep.
that have professionals working for it.
So, Karen, the argument would be how if you it's harder to corrupt 163 individuals.
Oh, really?
Than one.
Agenda-driven.
Yeah.
They are all agenda-driven.
Yeah.
It's very political.
Yeah.
It's toxic political.
And I think, I'm more in favor of a council than a mayor, but I think that it's difficult to get people who know budgets to run for town meeting. And when it comes down to decision making, I look at the fiasco with the sewer. When the sewer line broke and we had to come up with $90 million.
Oh, that was a tragedy.
Where was town meeting's representation in that decision? They made a $90 million decision, which had to be made, but all the outcome, the unintended consequences, who's paying for that? Is it the ratepayers? Is it the people who don't have septic? Are the entire town paying for it?
When you have an agenda-driven town meeting, who really doesn't know, they think they know. There's very few people who know. I could name them. And you have a recipe for disaster.
And I think we saw it. I don't want to pick on Art, but Article 37 was a very agenda-driven article, and it was, he got the support, he got the town meeting, he politically
had Canty pushing it.
He had Canty pushing it, and he politically had somebody move the question as soon as everybody was speaking for it. Nobody who was speaking against it, I was standing up there with a bunch and others, got to speak, and it was closer than I thought. But,
it was.
But that's bringing national politics into town politics. If you have a police chief who has a policy which everybody agreed.
A great policy he had.
Everybody agreed that the chief did a great job in presenting it, and everybody agreed that this was a good policy. I don't understand, unless you have a personal agenda, why you would push it over the envelope.
Well, because it's a stepping stone.
Right.
And it's a stepping stone for either a sanctuary town or other very toxic leftist issues that they push forward.
And once you become a sanctuary city, aren't you going to lose all those, all the state money? And the federal money?
Well, you have a bullseye on your back also.
Right.
They just raided a town in Massachusetts that did the same thing town meeting just did.
Yeah.
They know who's doing what.
Right.
Wrestling, it's time.
Oh, no.
That went like that.
It did. It always does.
You're welcome back anytime.
Oh, thank you, Karen.
When is next town meeting?
Next town meeting.
Oh, because it got changed,
right,
didn't it?
Right. We don't know if it's going to go through the state legislature before the next town meeting.
Oh, yeah,
so,
that's right.
So it might be pushed out. But, I think it's going to be in May instead of April. Or, it would be the fall one. Yeah.
Okay.
But
somebody said on Facebook today, how do you get the town to buy their own power plant? Middleborough does it, blah, blah. So I went on, you have to make a citizen's petition.
Yep.
Call up Steve Trifletti.
Yep.
Bring it to town meeting. Good luck.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Well, I think that, bad things happen when good people say nothing. And I think that,
True.
Karen, you're one of those people who it's never been accused of keeping your mouth shut.
You used to say to me, speak up a little bit more, whatever you used to say. But if I don't speak up, you don't speak up, Dale Weber doesn't speak up, a few of the others don't speak up, you just give in. You might as well lie down on the ground and...
Yep. And I've got numerous people ask me, How much do you get paid to be a town meeting member?
Nothing.
Why the heck are you doing that? Why the
because
heck are
you
you
care.
Right? Why are you spending 4 nights a week on town business? And it's because we care and because we want to make a difference.
Right. I love you.
I love you too.
Well, tune in a couple of weeks from now. I'm going to have on Stephen Cahayan. He owns Cahayan's Appliance here in Plymouth.
Good place.
Wonderful guy. And I thought I'd mix it up a little bit, but after that, I think the town manager's coming on. So buckle up.
There you go.
Thank you very much for tuning in.